Hi, everyone. This is your host, Kristen Howe, and I am so excited to welcome you to our call with today's guest, Lee Holden. Lee first discovered the healing power of QiGong and Tai Chi after experiencing injuries that nearly sidelined his varsity soccer career at the University of California, Berkeley. Impressed at how these ancient practices healed his body and allowed him to return to playing, he made their study a priority. Today, he is an internationally known instructor in meditation, Tai Chi, and QiGong, as well as a licensed acupuncturist, herbalist, and author. His popular library of QiGong DVDs have made him a regular fixture on American public television and over 105 PBS stations throughout the U.S. and Canada, and his unique QiGong programs have been seen in over 50 million households. Lee's expertise and down-to-earth teaching style has made him a popular speaker and workshop facilitator. In addition to working with many world-famous healers, he is a stress management consultant to top Silicon Valley corporations and an on-set wellness consultant for several Hollywood film productions. He's a graduate of UC Berkeley with a BA in psychology, and Lee is also a doctor of Chinese medicine as a graduate of Five Branches Institute in Santa Cruz, which is a leading acupuncture college in the U.S. Now, on today's call with Lee, you will discover ways to transform stress into vitality. You'll find out how to create effortless flow in your life and how to awaken your inner power. You'll also discover the ability to feel your qi, which is your life force energy, strategies to connect deeply to yourself and your unique purpose, and how to have fulfilling relationships with yourself and others. So, Lee, I can't wait. I am so excited for this call. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for that introduction, too.
Absolutely. It's great having you here. I'd love for you to start off by sharing with us, a little bit of you, a little bit of your story, how you managed to get here and manifest the current level of success that you've manifested, because that's what we're talking about today is, manifest everything now. And we all know how much health and vitality and energy play into that. So I just kind of want to hear your story.
Well, it's been such a wonderful journey. I never expected that I'd end up here. I just really followed what I was passionate about and what really worked for me. This practice helped me overcome some injuries, and I was really depressed about it, and I was studying psychology, and it just seemed like what I was studying wasn't giving me what I needed to feel better. I was learning a lot, but it wasn't anything practical. It wasn't anything that was helping me in my life at the moment. And then I started studying Qigong and Eastern ideas of medicine and philosophy, and I was just surprised that more people weren't doing it. When I was injured, I had this really bad low back injury, and I was hobbling around, and I was depressed, and I couldn't play soccer, which I loved. And I had studied martial arts when I was a kid, and I remembered one of my martial arts teachers breaking a big stack of bricks, and him telling me that he was using his qi. And so this fascinated me. Another thing he said is that qi is for healing. It helps the body to regulate and find balance and activate this inner healing power that we all have inside ourselves. And so I went back home and I got some treatments with him. I learned some Qigong, and I was better in like 2 weeks. I was 100% better playing soccer, off all the medications and painkillers. And it just catapulted me into this career in Eastern medicine and Qigong that I've just fallen in love with.
Wow, so cool. Okay, so let's talk about this because I even already mentioned it, that qi, or our life force or energy, and you're the expert on that.
Yeah.
That directly ties into our ability to manifest anything: happiness, health, wealth, good relationships. So can you talk to me first a bit more about what qi is, and then how that does tie in? Because I think for some people, they might be like, what are you talking about, Kristen? So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Everything is energy, right? We know that. Even quantum physics is telling us that everything is energy. And if you went back to the Qigong masters, 3,000 to 5,000 years ago, this is exactly what they were saying. I love this idea that, modern science and ancient mysticism is coming together and saying the same things. So qi means energy, means your life force energy. Now, when it's moving in your body, it's what animates your body. It's what gives you vitality. It's the electricity behind the heartbeat. It's the power behind your breath. It's even the energy behind our thoughts and our consciousness. So everything being energy, we're creating a science and a very practical way of working with energy. Now, whatever it is that we want, whether it's health and vitality or happiness, something that's internal, these are internal qualities. Or whether it's a new car, a new job, or a new relationship, these external qualities will give us some kind of energy. So ultimately what we're seeking is a kind of energy, whether it's more energy or a better quality of energy, but some kind of energy that we want in our lives, some way in which we want to express ourselves and experience life and distill it into some kind of energy that we want. So I think QiGong is the art of working with energy. Gong means to work with. So Qi being energy, Gong meaning to work with. This is a skillfulness at working with energy. And this skillfulness, this inner resource that we can acquire and learn to utilize, will help us to create whatever it is what we want in our lives, whether it's an internal state of being or an external manifestation.
Wow. Okay. I love that. So how do we, here we are in this, and I hate saying this, but it's true. There's a lot of stress, even externally, right? So how do we use this and shift when we're living in a world that seems to be reflecting stress back to us? How do we get into a good energetic flow when it's almost like we're fighting it externally?
Right. There's a saying in QiGong, don't push the river. There's a current that's happening. There's a flow that's already happening. And stress is when we start resisting the current that's going on all around us. I hate to say this, but stress isn't something that's actually real, right? We all talk about it, but what is one person's stress might be somebody else's good time. Somebody going on a roller coaster might be completely stressed out. I took my mom on a roller coaster, and she had the most stressful experience of her life, and I had the best time, right?
Yeah.
And so stress really is an interpretation. It's an internal representation of our external environment. And so what we can do is start to work with how we represent our life experiences and work with our energy from the inside out. So often we're working from the outside in, meaning we're looking for happiness outside of ourselves. We're looking for some energetic quality by trying to change the external circumstances. When we can learn to change the energy inside, then we can manage our stress, we can manage life's challenges, and we can meet life's demands with more effortless flow and enjoyment. And so that's what QiGong really is all about. How do we work with our own internal stresses or tension or tightness and contractions? How do we let go of the stress that's already there? And then how do we manage the stress even better so that we're not taking it on, so that we're rising up to a challenge, overcoming it with our creativity and our insight and our intuition, as opposed to just kind of circumventing it with our thinking process and creating all this stress and tension in our body. QiGong says that there's a magical way to live your life as opposed to just an ordinary kind of stress-filled, tension-inducing way. And that's what I love about this practice so much. It's to live in this wonderful flow. And, the formal practice of QiGong, it teaches us how to create flow in our bodies and in our energy. But the informal, meaning that just in everyday life, you create a lot more effortless power and effortless enjoyment, and you feel like you're just part of a bigger current. So instead of just getting toppled by the current or these waves that happen in your life, we're learning how to, ride these currents and really enjoy it.
I love that. Okay, so and you mentioned something that I want to quickly go back to because you were talking about, our brains. And so we have primarily gotten so stuck in our heads and disconnected from our bodies. So is this sort of a reconnecting to our body as well as the energy within us? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because we get the idea that the mind and the body are separate, but energetically they're really not so separate. And this is another area where Western science is showing that, the receptor sites for neuropeptides are all through the body, in the heart and in the gut and in the immune system. So some work by some leading physicists and neurobiologists are saying that the whole body is a thinking body. So that as we have thoughts, your body is receiving it. Your body is sort of eavesdropping on your thinking process. So when we have negative thoughts or stressful thoughts, that's why it sort of wreaks havoc on the immune system. For example, when people are depressed or really stressed out, their immune system drops down about 30 or 40%. And when two people have fallen in love, their immune system goes up and functions at a higher frequency, about 30 or 40% higher than normal. And so the mind-body is extremely connected. And they've been saying this, in in Qigong and in yoga and in holistic medicine for thousands of years. And we're really just starting to realize that the mind and body are intimately related. And so as we're thinking, this creates energy. There's a saying in Qigong that the mind leads the Qi. So when we have positive thoughts, when we're focused on our inspiration and our excitement, your energy will elevate. And when you are focusing on what you don't want and what you're worried about and the problems and the negativity, then this creates a stagnation of Qi. And so we see how the thoughts and our emotions guide and direct the Qi through our bodies and then guide and direct the Qi through our life.
And I love, by the way, that because I could feel people listening going, oh, well, does this mean I have to get rid of my mind? No, that's not the case. So the mind leads the Qi. Okay, so that's interesting. So here we are, and I'm just, being now sort of like, well, that's great, Lee, and here I am, and I'm sitting here, and I get that, and I know that I need to, think positive thoughts and all of that. How do I begin to do that? Right.
How do I do that? I like that. How do I get rid of my mind? There's a thing in Qigong, the mind, the part of the mind that is kind of always concerned and worried and thinking about challenges is called the monkey mind. And it's not just an ordinary monkey. It's as if it's an adolescent monkey that's found a bottle of alcohol and is drunk. That's sometimes how it's described, because the mind just latches onto what we're worried about and it won't let go, and it throws tantrums and it does all kinds of crazy things. And so what we really need to do is to ease the mind and to guide and direct the mind with compassion. And the way we do that, for example, if you're worried about something, we know that energy works in a particular way. So if you're worried about something and you're focused on what you don't want, energy will start to go there. It starts to flow and circulate there. If you are focused on what you do want, energy goes there as well. And so an easy exercise is when you're in that worried space and concerned space, think about the opposite. Think about what you do want, because energy follows thoughts. Energy follows the mind. So train your mind. It's fine to worry. It's fine to have stress, but then just do a little exercise where you can say, well, what's the opposite of that? What is it that I really do want? Ask yourself some good questions and start to think and ruminate about the positive, and that guides the energy in that direction. You can kind of think of the mind as a stream of energy, like a garden hose. And when you're focused on what you don't want, it's kind of like turning your attention to all the weeds. You could just say, oh my gosh, look at all these weeds. And the water is going and watering the weeds. But if you turn your attention to the garden, then you're actually watering your vegetables, your flowers, and what you do want. So energy works quite simply. It follows attention. Where you put your attention, energy goes.
Very cool. Okay, so I love that exercise, because it's almost like that's how we can, as we said before, transform our stress into actual vitality, is going, oh, okay, this is what I don't want. What's the opposite? That's great. I love that. Okay, so when we talk about, because I know this is something that's really important, it's also something that a lot of our listeners are really focused on doing, and a lot of them would even say focused on trying to do. So I want to help them actually do, awakening their inner power. Talk to me first of all about that and what it is and how we can begin.
Okay. Power means energy, right? Everything needs energy. It's kind of like you have the most wonderful, amazing computer, but if you never plug it into the wall, it's just not going to work. Qi is like electricity, and your mind, body, spirit are this wonderful kind of advanced computer, but without the Qi, nothing works. And we want all that wiring and connection to be intact. And that's what the Qi does. It's a bridge between the mind and the body and the spirit. And when everything's working together, we have power, we have strength, we have energy. When we're talking about power with flow as opposed to power with force. And this is one of the things I love about Qigong, is that they demonstrate power in a martial arts sense, and they show power with effortless flow and relaxation. Because when we're relaxed and at ease, we're going with the current that's moving through our lives. And when we're stressed, we try to force our way through, and we feel resistance, tension, and tightness. And so what we want to be able to do is to line ourselves up with the current that's moving through our lives, line ourselves up with purpose, feel connected to the universe, let's say, feel connected to a larger energy, and then we move through life with relaxation, with inspiration and passion and all the things that we really love to feel, and we do that without resistance. So true power comes from being connected to the energy that's all around you and moving through you, and force comes from sort of the ego trying to get things done and try to force its way through life. And we kind of struggle going back and forth. When we're in the flow, you know you're in the flow because we feel blissful, we feel inspired, we feel kind of ecstatic expression of the energy. And when we're coming from sort of an egoic space, we feel kind of tense, tight, or stressed. And so we want to recognize when that energy is moving through us and be able to let go of the stress and tension and reconnect or plug back into the bigger, larger source of energy. And then we feel really connected to people in our lives. The right relationships just seem to effortlessly flow in and through our lives, whether it's business or personal, and things happen with synchronicity. And it's a really wonderful way to express life force energy in that way.
Okay, so cool. And I love, by the way, earlier that you mentioned that when we're falling in love, you know, our immune system goes up, our health goes, and it because I think of those times in life, at least for me, and I'm like, yeah, and not only that, not only was I falling in love, not only did I feel great, but opportunities came out of nowhere. You know, it was almost like, oh my God, I can do no wrong. It's like I'm magic right now. So is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you know, athletes talk about being in the zone. Dancers performing, right? When you're in that effortless zone, it's like you can do no wrong. You know, you watch wonderful players in any sport, and it's like they're just fluid flowing, they're relaxed. Every shot goes in, and it's magic to watch. They call that being in the zone. And it's not just for athletes. We want to be able to cultivate that zone in our everyday lives where we feel like, hey, everything is just working in our favor. We're having a wonderful time. We're happy. We're creative. Our intuition is heightened. You know, our own energy is in service to the external world in a way that's uplifting.
Let's keep going with that whole, the athletes or the dancers or whatever. So me being a performer, because I want to ask you a question about what happens. So there have been times where, let's say I was on stage and I'm singing and I'm in this place where it's like, oh my God, I can do no wrong. And I'm connecting with the audience and they're laughing. And then the very next night I will go back and it's literally like I have lead legs and I can't connect with anybody. And what happens when we seem to, because this happens in life too, where we're like, I can do no wrong. And then the next day you're like, what happened?
Where did my chi go?
Yeah, right.
And so when you learn to work with energy, you start to recognize these subtle nuances where the energy is like, oh, the energy is being stuck or blocked, or it's getting stagnant, or it's at a low vibration. And what QiGong teaches you how to do is to work with the energy so that you create the shift, so that you can re-enter the zone. Because the next night is a different energy. It might be a different audience. It might be a different team. It might be a different work circumstance. You know, energy is always in this constant state of change. And, you know, this is what is referred to as flow. We want to be a part of that constant, continuous state of change and go with it, as opposed to being, you know, all of a sudden we're in the flow and then we get hung up on the banks of the river and we're just getting, you know, kind of hit by the rocks. And we're like, well, wait, what's going on? And we don't do this. We don't do these transitions very skillfully or recognize, oh, this energy now is at this particular vibration and this is how I work with it. This is how I create that shift back into this effortless flow or getting back into the zone. So I think that's a wonderful thing about this practice, is that you can start to feel the subtle energy, shift it, change it, work with it so that you get back into that zone of feeling good much quicker. Because, you know, in life, we're always going to have stress and we're always going to have, you know, days that aren't so good. But with your practice, you should be able to change those around quicker, learn from them, distill the wisdom from experience, and then move on so that you have more days in the flow and more moments of being really present and alive and connected to what you're doing.
I love that. And by the way, everyone, definitely you're going to want to hang out because Lee is going to do something with us to help us feel our chi. Is that a good way of putting it, Lee? I don't want to.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
So we'll be doing that in a few minutes. Okay, so let me ask you this, because you said something in there that I think was really enlightening and something that people can get hung up on. You said the thing of, it could be a different audience, so the energy is different. So it's not just our energy, right? And
That's
yet
right.
we know that we are responsible for sort of creating our reality. So how do we reckon with that?
Right, because we are always trying to manage and deal with the internal energy and the external energy and how these two kind of flow together. And it's very interesting, the energy of all your relationships, your external relationships, it's just this energy that we're trying to seek from each other to heighten it and to create this feeling of, love or fulfillment or happiness or creativity, this dynamic energy. And it's like that with our work or what we want to bring into the world. And so if we're enjoying what we're doing, the energy of the heart elevates. If we're enjoying the people we're around, your heart gets lighter. If you're not enjoying what you're doing or the people you're around, the energy of the heart gets either deficient or stuck, and then this doesn't circulate in your body. And so we want to be able to work with both our internal energy and make good choices so that we're in situations that elevates our energy by the people we're around and the situations that we put ourselves in.
Yeah, and how we do it, because I think it's easy when it's easy, right?
Yeah, it's easy when it's easy, yeah.
It's easy when it's easy. And talk to me about trying to force it, because that it's so easy to try to do, and yet doesn't that work against us?
Right. I mean, really the only thing that we have power over is our own internal energy. And so when we're in a challenging situation, when we're around people that are challenging us or we're in a stressful situation, we can know that we can always make a shift and a change to our own internal energy. And that gives us power, gives us resourcefulness. Instead of going, well, the reason I feel this way is because of all these things around me, we want to be able to use the things around us as a way to rise up, to elevate, to challenge our energy, to be more centered. For example, in QiGong, there's this concept of being centered. So no matter what's going on around you, you can be in your center. It's kind of like being in the eye of the storm. You can have all kinds of chaos, right? You have kids and work and family situations and all kinds of chaos in your life. And you can always come back to your center so that you're making decisions from a centered, connected, elevated place as opposed to a stressed place where we're just snapping and we're making rash decisions and we're creating more negativity in our environment. And so this is a really good concept of coming from your center so that when there is a lot of stress, instead of being reactive, we respond in a way that elevates the energy all around us because we're coming from a higher place. And so I think that's a really important thing to just recognize, okay, I can make changes to my own internal energy, and then I'm going to let other people do what they need to do, but I'm not going to take on their energy. And that's a really hard one to do and a really powerful one to do because we're so influenced by everybody else's energy. Somebody says something to us and now our energy goes down. We look at somebody and we interpret something and then our energy does something else. So we want to be in control of how we allow energy to move into our own systems.
Okay, so I would imagine some of this centering and some of living, from a state of being in your center, it comes through, I would guess, some daily practice, correct?
Yeah, correct. Right.
Okay. So a lot of times people hear daily practice and they freak out because, they're like, oh, does that mean
I'm too busy? Yeah, right.
So when we talk about daily practice, I'm sure it can go as long as you want, but, does it take hours? What are we looking at?
That's why I love QiGong so much is it can just take minutes. It's like, 1 minute to 3 minutes and you can shift your energy. And sometimes it's even as quick as instead of just emotionally reacting right away, it gives you that pause or that spaciousness before you have to just be reactive to the stress around you. It gives you a little space where you can take a deep breath, or you could feel your energy, or you can drop into the present moment and make a better decision in that moment so that you're actually coming from a little higher place. So you can do some QiGong in like 30 seconds to 3 minutes and have a really wonderful shift in your energy.
So cool. Okay. So, and it's primarily like a physical practice, not jumping up and down and hanging from things, but it is a connected to your body practice, which is amazing. And I think is so important because that is how we connect to our bodies. But let me ask you this. When we are in, and you just kind of pre-answered my next question. I love that when that happens. So let's say we are in a situation and suddenly we're having to deal with a very difficult person where our tendency might be to just react and, that thing that happens.
Right.
I'm feeling it viscerally as I'm talking about it. And we can't just jump up and do something physically to get ourselves in that state. So is there something we can do at that point?
I think, right at that point is breath is a very strong influencer of your energy. For example, when you take a long, slow, deep breath, you're giving your body a message that you must be feeling good, right? Emotions always reflect the breath. So as you change your breathing, you change the energy, which changes emotion. Because emotion is nothing other than energy, right? We can't put emotions in a test tube. We can't do surgery on emotions. It's just pure energy. So how do we influence our emotional state on our emotional energy? And breath is a really quick one. So let me show a stress-clearing breathing exercise. It's called a cleansing breath.
Okay.
And what you do is you start off by breathing into the abdomen. So you take a nice deep breath into the lower abdomen, and then you let it rise all the way up to your chest. So it's a full deep breath, as deep as you can. And then when you exhale, you're going to exhale out through the nose. And at the very bottom of the exhale, you're going to breathe the rest of the breath out through the mouth. So you exhale through the nose and then breathe the rest of the breath out through the mouth. And that cleanses old energy. So if you feel like you've taken on somebody else's energy, you feel like you've had a stressful interaction, or you just want to let go of anxiety or nervous tension, inhale full deep breath in through the nose. Exhale all the way out through the nose, and at the bottom of the exhale, blow the rest of the breath out through the mouth, and that cleanses and clears stress, nervous tension, and old emotional energy.
Wow, I just did it as you were talking to me. And yes, at that final where you're breathing out the rest through your mouth, it's funny. It's almost like you feel like you have nothing left through the nose, and then it's like this reserve of, it felt so low. That extra chi, that old energy can sometimes be held because when we don't exhale fully, it's a message energetically that we don't want to let go of the past, that we're hung up on our perspective. But when you can exhale fully, we let go of the past, we let go of old energy, and we step back into the present moment so that we can respond emotionally to actually what's going on right here, right now, as opposed to our preconceived ideas or this old energy or past hurt. And we're much more present, and in the present, we have more power. Okay, good. I love this because you've just given us stuff that we can do literally in a stressful moment. All it requires is that we're a bit mindful before we react. And just using that breath already, I can see would be so powerful. Life can, there is stress and there are difficult people and there are difficult scenarios. So I'm so glad that we really covered that because I think that is something that is, a lot of people are dealing with. Now let's shift gears and talk about how this all ties into, because here's something else that so many of the listeners here are dealing with is they're trying to find their unique purpose. They're trying to deeply connect with themselves, not just what everybody says life should be, but what they really. So how do we use this for that connection?
That's wonderful because being on purpose is really when we feel empowered and we want to embody our purpose. And so in QiGong, they say to be on purpose, we kind of need a few different things, and this will lead to a fulfilling life. One is you stay connected to your higher power. So you stay open to connect to your higher self or the universe or whatever it is you want to call it. You stay open to the energy that's all around us because we tend to think of our energy as being separate from everything else, but really it can't be. Even the act of breathing, we're taking energy in from the environment to be able to sustain our life force energy. So it's affirming this connection to the energy that's all around you so that we feel a flow from a higher source of energy into our lives. We feel inspired. And then what we do is we all, as this energy moves into us, we all have very unique energy. Nobody else is like you. Everybody has a very unique expression of that life force energy. And we want to be able to tune into that. Otherwise, we're going to be expressing somebody else's life force energy. And this is what you were saying. People tell us what we should do. Oh, you should do this. You should do this to make money, and then you'll be happy. But really, we have to know what our own energy is. Because if you are doing what you should be doing, your energy will be at a very low state. We won't feel happy. We'll feel kind of this low vibration and a lack of fulfillment. So we want to be able to know our own energy. What is it that makes us feel joyful, alive, inspired, blissed out, ecstatic, and tune into that and follow that. Because whatever you do, whenever you're following that higher vibration, blissful energy, you will be successful in your highest way. So we have tune into a higher power, connect to your own unique talents and your own life force energy. The third thing is to be able to share your unique energies with other people. So you share your energy with people in your life. You're in service so that the energy comes from your source. It moves through you and activates your own power and energy, your uniqueness, and then we share that. And so this creates a wonderful blending of energy because we all love sharing energy. We like to be engaged with each other. We like friends and family and loved ones and sharing and mixing energy. So when we come from our authentic place of who we are and share that, then our energy really gets elevated. And that's kind of a QiGong way of being on purpose, really to understand is you feel your energy and you know how energy of happiness and bliss feels like inside of you, you kind of stay on track with that. So pain and depression and negative emotion, sometimes they're our best guides. They're guiding us into a different path. It might be a small shift, it might be a big shift, but listen to those negative emotions, listen to those discomforts and tensions, not as enemies, but as friends guiding you into a better way. And these will help you to make better decisions. And if you listen to that, it'll say, okay, that decision going in that track made me feel a little tight or stuck or depressed. But when I do this, I feel elevated, happy, and alive. And then that's the path that we want to follow.
Ooh, that's cool. Okay, so this also will, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, I'm sort of gathering my own summation from this. This will allow us to, when we reconnect to our body, when we reconnect to our chi, as we're going through life, it's almost like our energy in our body, which we might be disconnected from right now, become almost like a guidance system. Is that a good way of looking at it?
That's okay. Right. It's your best guidance system. It's like your Chi GPS.
Yeah, I love it.
Otherwise, you're just lost. Your energy is like your map. And so maybe thinking along this lines, we have energy that's our intention, and this is like the map. Where do we want to guide and direct our energy? And then the power is like the fuel in the tank. And we need both of these to lead a fulfilling life. We need to have clear intention, clear direction. We need to have the fuel and the power to get us there. If we have the power, but we don't have the clear map, then we just drive in circles, right? If we have a clear map and no fuel, we might be on the right direction, but we can't actually get there because there's no fuel in the tank to actually get us there. So we work with these two energies to manifest clear intent and energetic power to propel us in the direction that we want to go in.
So cool. Okay, so this, to me, it seems like you and I had talked about right before we started that you were going to sort of take us through an entire, I'll just call it an experience. Is this a good time to do that?
Yeah, this is a great time. Yeah.
Awesome.
Because we need to experience energy to really work with it. Knowing about energy is kind of like somebody telling you about a wonderful trip that they just took, but you don't get to go on it, right?
Yeah.
So, a friend of mine just got back from Thailand, and they were talking about how wonderful Thailand is. I wouldn't have any idea what that was like just through her explanation. I actually need to go on the trip myself. Working with energy is the same. And we can always take that internal journey to working with our energy. And to the journey of working with energy is just a journey from, okay, here's my energy where it is now. Here's where I want it to be. And we always have that. We can always transform one state into another state. So let's do a little energy work. Here's a simple one that listeners can do. It's activating pressure points. So you take your fingernails and just touch them together. So maybe your first knuckle and your fingernails are touching, and then you're going to stimulate the ends of the meridians. You'll get a real buzz from this one. And it's a quick way to activate your energy. Now, rub your fingernails back and forth vigorously together. Does that make sense?
So on the same hand?
Yeah. You're
hands?
taking both hands. You're right in your left hand. The fingernails touch. And then you're vigorously going back and forth.
Oh, yes. Yep. Oh, yeah, it does get fuzzy.
Yeah, so you do that for about 30 seconds and do it really vigorously, and this activates the pressure points in the hand. And why don't you take a nice deep breath while you do it? A long exhale. Do that one more time. Rub back and forth vigorously. Now hold your hands down to your sides and feel the electricity in your hands, fingers, and wrists. Feel the activation of the chi.
Wow.
Can you feel that?
Oh, yeah. My hands are like, me.
Yeah, they're just buzzing, right?
Yeah.
And this is what we want to do in QiGong. It's the first step. It's called activating your energy, because most of the time you already have energy in your body because you're alive. It's just in a dormant state, or it's in a state where we're not aware of it. So we bring the energy into a state of activation so that we can feel it, then we become aware of it. Once we're aware of the energy, then we can circulate the energy in a more refined way. So instead of the energy circulating and spiraling into stress or depression, it spirals into joy, fulfillment, and happiness. And it's just a simple step. In fact, when energy is moving, we feel good. When energy is stuck, we don't feel so good. It's kind of as simple as that. And so these kinds of things in QiGong, when you stimulate the energy, automatically you're going to feel better. So this little fingernail one that we just did will be for waking up consciousness, activating energy. It'll give you a little energy boost, and it also clears tension out of the neck and shoulders.
Huh. Wow.
Can I show you, can we teach one more? This one is for transforming stress into vitality.
Well, since no one here ever feels stressful, yes, absolutely.
I mean,
please.
This is only for people, this is for everybody's friends, because I know people who listen to your show, they're never stressed out.
No one
if you know somebody who's stressed out, yeah.
Share this with them.
You can share this with them, yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay, so this one is called shaking. And speaking of athletes, you see athletes do this all the time before events, like Olympic swimmers or Olympic runners. For an event, what they'll do is they'll shake their bodies as a way to clear nervous tension and stress and recharge and become empowered. So if you can, you do this standing up, but you don't have to. If you're sitting down, the way you do it sitting down is you hold your hands to your sides and you shake your wrists and your fingers out. Like you just shake the arms. Shake your elbows, shake your shoulders, shake your hands. If you're standing up, what you're going to do is you're going to bounce into your heels. You're going to bounce and shake your whole spine loose. And you especially want to shake right at the base of the skull, kind of right through the cranial base and the neck. And you bounce and shake, and you take a nice deep breath as you do this, and you exhale with, this is called the heart sound, so it clears tension in the heart area. Deep breath, and then you let it go. So you shake, you inhale, shake it out. Yeah, you just exhale out through the mouth. And so you're going to do that about 3 or 4 times. Takes about 30 seconds to a minute. And then just hold your hands down to your side. And again, feel the energy moving through your body. Feel the energy moving through the body. It should be going down the arms, kind of into your hands. If you take a nice deep breath, maybe you can breathe that energy from the arms all the way up into the head, through the spine. So you bring that energy into the head, and this will refresh the mind and help you to be connected to your higher power, to your authentic self, your authentic expression of energy, and not take on stress. Very good. How was that?
Wow. Okay, so that was really cool, which brings up a question, is that I felt as I was trying to breathe it up through my neck, it got stuck for a second.
Uh-huh.
So
yeah, and you'll notice where the energy gets stuck too. So that's a good thing to notice. If you have tension in the neck or tension in the back, what you might notice is like, oh, I can breathe it up here, but it gets hung up on certain areas. And then what you want to do is just feel the energy there kind of spiraling into that area, almost like the energy is going to massage tension, tightness, or contraction out of those muscles.
Cool. Okay. And then is it something that then we would, maybe try to go ahead and do it again?
Yeah, then you could do it again.
Okay.
And then, of course, we have all kinds of wonderful stretches and exercises to really zero in on those areas where we chronically hold tension. It's a little bit deeper seated, and we stretch it out, and we do all these wonderful exercises to do that.
Wow. I love that. And you're right. It's so simple.
Yeah, it's very simple. And so there's a whole bunch of Qigong exercises that we can do just like this, that go, okay, I have a headache and I only have 10 minutes or 5 minutes. What can I do to get rid of it? Or I really had just a really bad morning. How can I let that go so that I don't keep that going into the afternoon? You can just play with a bunch of different exercises to really tune and refine our own energy wherever we are during our day.
I love that you just said that, because I think that's a huge factor, is that often what will happen is people will have something occur that is not so positive, and so they get stuck in that energy, and then that just, it's like the whole day is shot. So you're saying the whole day doesn't have to be shot. Yeah,
right. I mean, the sooner you can do those two exercises that we did after a stressful event, the quicker it'll release and let go. I mean, you don't want to do the shaking right when you're having a big argument with somebody, but right? You could, just tell that person, hey, I'm not taking on your negative energy, but that doesn't fly all the time.
Yeah.
So you just, go find a quiet little spot and take 30 seconds and just shake the arms, inhale through the nose, exhale with that heart sound, which is, and feel like you're just, that energy just evaporates out of you. You just slough it off and let it go.
Let me ask you this. Is it possible, because I have certainly felt at times that I've gotten my energy overcharged?
Yeah.
What's going on there? Is that exactly what's happening? Mm-hmm. And what would I do about it?
Yeah, because energy is either deficient or in excess. So sometimes we're in this excess state and we get all hyped out, and then we'll crash later and it'll become deficient because we've sort of used it all up. Mm-hmm. When you feel like you're just overly amped, especially overly amped in the mind, what I like to do is you just put both hands over your abdomen. You take some nice deep breaths into your belly and feel like this energy can come into your center, so that your energy is at a high level, but it's not overly active or hyper, but it's powerful, it's strong, it's abundant, but you're still coming from your center. So you breathe deeply into the lower abdomen, and this one, you just breathe into the lower abdomen. So when you inhale, the abdomen expands, and when you exhale, the abdomen contracts. So you stay connected to the energy right there in your center.
That makes sense. Okay, so it really regrounds you. And it's so funny. There are so many people that really have never actually felt what it is to breathe into your abdomen.
Yeah, right. And that's a really important place, because when you're doing that, your diaphragm moves downward, and you're actually, all kinds of wonderful health benefits happen with deep abdominal breathing. That'll lead to being centered. That also clears stress out of the mind. It clears this kind of that repetitive thinking process that we talk about.
Yeah.
And so that centering breathing is wonderful.
So not only are we feeling great energetically when we do this stuff, but it's also, of course, then going to affect, as we were talking about with the whole, when you're falling in love, things just seem, it's really going to help put you in the flow. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, because when we're coming from our center, we can really intuit our natural flow. We can really feel it.
And as you said before, use it as the guidance, system, as a GPS. So I'd love if you could share with us, I know that people have gotten many, many benefits all in different areas of their life. If you could share a couple of stories, just so that we who are listening can go, oh, okay, when we work with this, when we work with Qigong and what Lee is teaching here, and when we apply this is what's possible, or this is some of what's possible. Do you have any stories that come to mind you could share with us?
Oh, yeah. Wonderful stories of people kind of manifesting their dreams or turning around. I mean, a lot of stories where they just turn around a really severe health illness. I have one particular gentleman who was in the hospital, and he was flipping stations. He was bored. He got diagnosed with a terminal form of cancer, and he saw my show on Qigong, and he started doing the exercises as best as he could. And he just kind of fell in love with it, and he just resonated with him. So he just did as much as he could every day. And he now, a year and a half later, is one of my Qigong teachers. He has come to all my trainings. He's in remission. He's completely better, and he's just a bright, shining light and an inspiration to everybody he comes in contact with. That QiGong has just transformed his life. I have lots of people that are on, antidepressants, insomniacs, pain and tension, just like myself when I was in chronic pain, and I used the practice to get myself out of pain. Lots of stories of that. One particular gentleman came to see me. He got a private session. He was a pharmacist, and he had to do the night shift. He just had a little baby, and he wanted to make enough money so that he didn't have to do this night shift. And he had this online business. And so what we did was we got the energy strong in his body through QiGong practices. We set clear intention, and we directed all this wonderful energy into his online business. And he came back the next week, and he was like, it's amazing. I don't know what happened, but my business doubled overnight, and I didn't do anything different. I was like, really?
Wow.
I was like, wow, this stuff actually works that way. I know I do it all the time, and I always surprise myself because I'll do the same thing and it'll work. And I'll be like, wow, it's amazing. And now he's been able to, quit his job, and he's got this wonderful online business, and he's home with his new little one a lot more. And, so it's just, when we're working with energy, we're working with the fundamental foundational stuff that is going through you and moving through all of life. So it makes so much sense that it would work because it's the current of life. It's what life is made out of. And then we're working with it right at its source.
Yeah, I love even what he said that, he didn't do anything differently. And really, it sounds like what he was doing and what you both did together was just remove the blockages so the energy could flow freely.
Right.
And that's the energy of money and all of that stuff.
Yeah, right. Because when you power up your energy, it pushes through blockages. And whether it's, our own blockages, we have our mental resistance to what is, we have all kinds of stuff that we resist. And when we power up, we're able to push past our limitations. We're able to tap into new energy. Sometimes we need that extra input and that extra energy to just tip us over the edge into where we want to be. Sometimes it's not even that much. It just is a little bit of a push, and all of a sudden things unfold because there's more energy behind it. There's more power there.
I love it. See, this is, the reason I'm here and doing this and sharing you with people is because this is what I get excited about. I get excited about the fact that it's all already here for us. And it's just, finding out how to tap into it. And that's what I'm so excited about, what you're sharing and what you have shared. I mean, you've shared so many things that we can apply literally right now, which I think is great. Obviously, there's so much more to learn from you. You did create a special offer. I asked you to, and you did, which I'm thrilled about. And I can't wait for everybody who's listening to this call to check it out. So what I want to do, everyone, is highly encourage you. Can't encourage it more. Go check this out while Lee talks us through it, just because you get such a firm idea of what it is that's possible when he talks you through it. So we made it really simple for you and just put a special offer button on the page. Go ahead and click that and you'll be sent right to it. And Lee, I would love if you could talk us through it now and let us know what we'll find here. This is awesome.
I sure will. So in this package, what you're going to get is something called Discover Chi. This is an online course, and it's short little videos, like 15-minute long videos where I explain exercises like we did today on the call, but we just go into it a little bit deeper, and you get to watch how I'm doing it. These are 15-minute videos along with some longer, like AM, PM kind of workout. So this is for beginners. It's an introductory kit. And then we also have my AM, PM workouts that are like 30, 40 minutes long. So when you have the time, you get a really good QiGong workout. And the AM one is for more energy. The PM is for less stress. So the AM one, you're going to find that it's more of a workout. It's more of a strengthen. It's an activating of your energy. It builds energy in the body and creates clarity and focus in your mind to start your day. And then the PM one is kind of how to transition from, let's say, work and all the stress we might have picked up during the day. How do we let that go? How do we clear it? And how do we transition either to come home, not take our work with us, or how do we transition from our day into like relaxation and going to sleep? There's something also on this one that's called the healing sound. This is a wonderful practice. This is when we want to work on deeper emotional issues, when we have things that we need healing in our body. This is a QiGong practice that uses sound that goes to each of the internal organs to be able to transform anything that's held as stress back into pure, vital life force energy. There's Body of Light, which is the Taoist and QiGong meditations. This is all audio, so you can just listen to it, let's say, in the car. You learn about QiGong, where it comes from, Eastern philosophy, and then there's about 8 different meditations talking all about how to work with our energy and the energy of the mind. There's also something in this called the Qi Healing Kit, where you learn acupressure points, self-acupressure points for all kinds of common ailments. It's kind of almost like a first aid kit of acupressure, and this includes acupressure plus stretches and Qigong movement. And the last thing is something called the Taoist Sexual Secret, and this is how to work with sexual energy, our sexual energy for longevity, for deep, abundant vitality, and fulfilling relationships. And that's it. It's a big package. This will be a wonderful way for people to really kind of go from a beginner's even into an intermediate practice and everything in between, whether you want to use Qigong for just a few minutes during your day or whether you want to use it for really getting in shape and some longer workouts.
Wow. Yeah, there's so much in here. It's awesome. Now, where would you recommend when we start working with this, where would you recommend we start?
Start with the Discover Qi, start with the AM, PM, and I would say even start with the Qi Healing Kit.
Ah, okay, cool. And then when we start working with this, what are some of the things that we could expect to start experiencing or feeling pretty quickly?
What you'll feel really quickly is this internal power, what I love. You know, people usually do the workouts and they feel this natural high on life kind of feeling. You get high on your Qi. You feel, you'll feel your stress and tension. Where you carry your stress and tension, it starts to dissolve, and that happens right away. A lot of people start to notice their aches and pains going away. People sleep a lot better. That's one of the first noticeable things, is that people sleep really well. And then just an overall sense of balance, being centered. And then it starts to seep into your life, like we're talking about. You start to, normally I'd be really stressed out on this situation, but now, that didn't really bother me. I feel more centered. And that starts to happen over time. It just happens more and more. It's a wonderful practice. I've been doing it for about 25, 30 years, and it just keeps getting better and better.
Oh, that's cool. I love that even, even when you've been doing it for a long time, it's almost like it grows and evolves with you. That's amazing. That's really exciting. I love that. Yeah. Okay, so everyone, really simple. Just click on the special offer button that's on this page, and you'll be taken right there. And Lee, I have to tell you, I was so excited to have you on the series, and you have more than delivered. You have over-delivered, and I'm thrilled to have been able to share you with everyone. Your energy is fantastic. I don't know, you're so accessible, and I love everything you're sharing. So I really want to thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much. That's wonderful. It was a wonderful interview. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I had a blast. Now, let me ask you this. Do you have no pressure on this? I love that you have a sense of humor too, by the way. Do you have any parting words of brilliance that you want to share with us as we head off today?
Always parting words of brilliance. I mean, really what I think here's what's exciting about the practice is that you're going to be able to learn things that will tap into your inner potential. And I think we have tremendous inner potential within us that we just have a hard time accessing it. How do we connect to that power, potential, that fulfillment that we know is there, but that sometimes it's hard to access? And I think this practice gives you tools and resources to really tap into that wonderful, amazing energy that we all have inside of ourselves. And I just, I hope people can get something from the practice and utilize it in amazing ways like it's been in my life.
I love that, and it brings up one more question, which is one of my favorite questions to ask, which in you talking about tapping into our inner potential, do you feel like, is it ever too late to tap into that inner potential?
It is never too late, right? I mean, all we have is the present moment, and we all have tremendous potential right here, right now. So we can get ourselves into that moment and connect with what's there and start really living with all of ourselves. Instead of being stuck or blocked, we can just really take our energy and power into wherever we are right here, right now. So I think that's a great question, because sometimes we feel, it's too late, or I should have done it earlier, all these things. And you just use the energy to drop in right now and get excited about where you are in your life and what you want to create.
It's awesome. I love that. And again, Lee, thank you so much. Hopefully we get to do, a million more of these, because I loved my time spent with you. I love being able to share you with everyone.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, let's do a million more.
All right, sounds good to me. And everyone who's here, thank you so much. You're all just magnificent, extraordinary beings, and I love being able to share this time with you. And until the next time, everyone, keep manifesting. Bye-bye, all.